It's a crisp fall morning in November 2023. You awake, brew your morning coffee, and sit down at your laptop to check your bank account balance before heading to work. But when you log in, nothing happens. The website won't load. Frustrated, you grab your phone to use the mobile app instead. But again, just frozen screens. Your heart starts racing as you turn on the news and hear the alarming report. A massive, coordinated cyber attack has struck the core of the global financial system. This is the stuff of nightmares, and experts warn it could become reality all too soon. Before we dive deeper into this complex subject, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to join our engaged community embarking on mini-documentary adventures that transport you to hypothetical realms. Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, cautioned back in 2020 that a cyber attack could trigger a serious financial crisis. Her words now seem prophetic. As we witness today, criminals and state-sponsored hackers have long sought ways to infiltrate the world's financial networks. But their capabilities are expanding exponentially even as the systems themselves become more interconnected and vulnerable than ever before. The sheer scale of the threat has never been greater. North Korea's elite hacking corps, the Lazarus Group, constantly probes international banks for any weakness to exploit. Russian intelligence hackers were inside American electric utilities just last year with the power to trigger blackouts on command. Ransomware attacks are increasingly sophisticated, paralyzing everything from hospital records to meat production. Now imagine these malicious actors, from rogue states to cyber criminals, all coordinating to turn their sights squarely on the beating heart of the global economy, digitized finance. They could target anything from the SWIFT interbank transfer system to major commercial banks, to credit card processors, to the Federal Reserve itself. An attack need not even steal money. Simply destroying data or shutting down networks could sow massive confusion and uncertainty. As one expert analysis cautioned, an attack on a computer processing or communications network could cause $50 billion to $120 billion of economic damage. But the harm would extend far beyond immediate financial loss. It would shake faith and trust in the reliability of the digital systems on which we depend for basic economic functions. So, in this nightmare scenario, who could citizens turn to for help? That's perhaps the most terrifying question of all. When it comes to cyber threats against the financial system, there is no clear organizational structure or unified line of defense. Responsibility is fragmented across an array of governments, regulators, law enforcement agencies, and private companies. Cooperation between nations remains weak at best. The core issue, experts argue, is a lack of clear responsibility for cyber defenses. Within most nations, let alone between them, the relevant authorities do not actively coordinate strategy. Financial regulators naturally focus on their own sector, while national security agencies concentrate on intelligence gathering and deterrence. There are no established protocols or norms for responding collectively to threats. Only a handful of countries have robust collaboration between financial overseers, law enforcement, the military, and technology firms. The United States established Cyber Command within the Department of Defense back in 2009. Estonia, a leader in cybersecurity, created the Voluntary Cyber Defense League to harness private sector expertise, but much of the world lags far behind. There are simply too many silos, too little cooperation. The same fragmentation plagues efforts at the international level. The financial system is deeply interconnected across borders. Attacks in poorer countries often presage those soon to follow in richer ones. So cyber resilience requires tightly coordinated international action, both to establish norms and build actual response capacity. But mistrust between nations persists, and institutions like Interpol have only begun to grapple with the scale of cybercrime. The result of this governance gap is heightened systemic risk, despite the best efforts of individual players. The Bank for International Settlements reports that cyber strikes on the financial sector are rising exponentially. Second, only to those against healthcare. The biggest banks invest billions in cybersecurity, but the budget is not the crux of the issue. Organization is the problem. No single institution can defend against state-level threats. The potential scale of the danger is staggering. Cybercrime alone currently costs the world over $1 trillion per year, far exceeding the $300 billion in total global losses from natural disasters in 2017, a record-breaking year of hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes. The potential economic damage from shutting down financial networks could quickly run into the hundreds of billions. But the harm to public trust and confidence in the digital systems we rely upon for essential functions would be impossible to quantify, and yet catastrophic. Imagine the panic, confusion, and wrath you would feel if your entire life savings simply vanished without a trace overnight. This is the scenario we must unite as an international community to prevent. All responsible nations and companies need to make cyber resilience a top priority. There have been some encouraging signs of progress. The G7 recently agreed to coordinate investigations of ransomware attacks through a new virtual command post. Europol announced ambitious plans to hire 700 cyber experts by 2027 to strengthen law enforcement response. Last year, over 50 nations signed a new UN treaty against cybercrime. But in the wake of today's crisis, such measures seem woefully inadequate. With so much at stake, the time has come for far more assertive global action to join forces in confronting the growing danger of cyber attacks on our shared financial well-being. No single nation can deliver security alone. Either we build bridges enabling true international cooperation or remain perpetually vulnerable. Tragically, the attack on the global financial system was just the beginning. As the malware has spread, power grids and hospitals across nations have now been hit as well, as the assault expands beyond its initial targets. Transportation grids are freezing up and vital health records wiped out, plunging more pillars of civilization into chaos. With no electricity, fuel supplies are rapidly dwindling. Healthcare systems are seizing up with no access to electronic records, medical devices disabled, and telemedicine impossible. The human costs are spiraling ever upwards. Deaths from lack of dialysis, access to prescription medicines, properly functioning ambulances and emergency rooms. We face a full-blown crisis of civilization, the interconnectedness that was supposed to unite us turning against us. Some are predicting full societal breakdown within days unless the onslaught can be stopped. But so far, the attackers remain elusive, while the defense remains fragmented. This is the nightmare scenario experts have long warned of, but we dismissed it as improbable until it was too late. Now, civilization's survival depends on whether we can finally transcend the barriers of suspicion and mistrust that left us so devastatingly vulnerable. Can we build true global cooperation to withstand this ultimate test? Or will we remain divided as our world crumbles? The choice is ours. United we stand, divided we fall. If this networked catastrophe teaches us anything, it is that our fates are intertwined in an age of interconnection. Our shared security in an online world depends on shared solutions. We face a watershed choice: cooperate or perish. History will judge us by the choices we make next.